Welcome to VGK Today, a weekly podcast providing you a special look at the 2024-25 Vegas Golden Knights. I'm Justin Russo with the Golden Knights on Friday, November 22nd, with the VGK in Montreal preparing to take on the Canadiens on Saturday night. What Vegas will be aiming to do in that game is the same thing they did Thursday night in Ottawa, as they picked up a 3-2 win over the Senators. Jack Eichel and Brett Howden scored Vegas' first two goals for an early lead, while Pavel Dorofeev delivered the eventual game winner in the third period.
Carlson in, Dorofeev down the slot, he scores! Roof job, top left corner. Dorofeev back on the score sheet with his 10th. Vegas has a 3-1 lead, 10:43 to go in the third period. What do you know? Back into the Ottawa zone, 3 seconds, around to the near side. Carlson shoots at the horn, knocked away, but the game is over. Vegas 3, Ottawa 2. And head coach Bruce Cassidy, in his hometown, records his 400th NHL victory. What a special place for that milestone. And the Knights back in the win column, avoiding what would have been a 3-game losing streak, something they have not endured this year.
A great response from the Golden Knights to pick up that win after being shut out by the Maple Leafs the night before, 3-0. And now their sights are going to be set on Montreal as they look to take down another team from north of the border. Well, today Daren Millard joins us, and he brings along one of his good friends who you may have seen on Golden Knights TV broadcasts from time to time. And after the break, we'll throw it over to Daren for his chat with Jeff Sharples. Golden Knights fans, the official VGK streaming app, Nighttime Plus, is back this season with performance upgrades and even more content. Visit nighttimeplus.com to learn more and stream games on any device. Want to let you know as well that special ticket offers provide limited edition themed merchandise with your VGK ticket to select games, like Hockey Fights Cancer Night against Utah coming up on November 30th. Visit the team website and click Tickets to see all of the special ticket offers.
Justin, I've been looking forward to this conversation, so let me just set things up, and then I'll get into Jeff Sharples, because he's standing by, and I don't really know whether I'll be able to do the whole intro without Sharples jumping in and interrupting and correcting me or trying to offer some kind of smart comment. But Jeff Sharples is a former National Hockey League defenseman, played professional hockey, played in Vegas with the Las Vegas Thunder back in the day. And I met Jeff through a couple of mutual acquaintances when I moved to work for the Vegas Golden Knights. And we kind of hit it off right away because we're both like really passionate. But Sharples outdoes me on almost every level. Like, he watches more hockey than I do, and I overextend my viewing of hockey. And this is how it usually goes. I'll get a text saying, you watching Bruins and Leafs? I'm like, yep. And then we'll go back and forth for a while. And then I'll get another text. Okay, which game did you move on to? Is it Columbus and Colorado? I'm like, no, I'm watching Seattle and Minnesota. That's the back and forth. He's so passionate, but like, he's got a full-time job. He's an airline pilot. So it's really cool. So Sharples, you're allowed to talk now. I like, then you show up on the TV and people just, I introduce you as a former NHL defenseman, but you're so much more than that. Like, give me your journey to ending up on the set with me, if you can. Like, where are you from? How did you get into hockey? And what's your experience?
I thought you were just, well, thanks for having me on, Millard, but I thought you were just going to go like, keep it simple. How'd you end up on the set a couple of years ago with you? And I could tell you very simply, it was to push the Las Vegas Thunder night that the Henderson Silver Knights were doing, which we've done 2 of them, which have been fantastic. So that's kind of where we kind of kicked it off on TV. But from Terrace, British Columbia, I like to call it the heartbeat of Canada. And people always go, where's that? And I go, have you ever heard of Prince Rupert? And people go, yeah, I've heard of Prince Rupert because it's a port city. So up in northern British Columbia is where we started, and just did like every other Canadian kid, played hockey. Didn't know any different. Went and played junior in the Western Hockey League for Kelowna and then Portland. Got drafted by Detroit and played in and up and down with them for 6 years before I got kind of traded a little bit. Got traded to Edmonton, then New Jersey, then So I played all my NHL games with the Red Wings, and played some playoff games against the mighty Oilers back when Gretz and Mess were there, with Paul Coffey and Glenn Anderson and Yari Curry and Grant Fuhr, and pretty much a highlight, to play against those guys because they were just such amazing players. And bounced around a little bit, ended up in the minors, and when Vegas, and then ended up in Vegas. And I remember with my buddy, we're sitting in the back of a Southwest airplane. And I was playing in Kansas City, which was San Jose's farm team, going out to play San Diego in the playoffs in the International League. Back, when you used to look in the back of the papers, the sports page for the transactions, it said International Hockey League Awards, Las Vegas IHL team. And I looked at Flats and I said, I'm playing there next year.
Who's
And he
Flats?
said, Wade Flaherty. So
Okay.
I got, so Wade, and we'll bring it up. So Wade's now the goalie coach in Winnipeg, who we're going to see here in Vegas in a couple weeks or a week or two. And so I ended up signing here in Vegas. Bob Strum reached out to me. I played 3 years here and I got traded up to Utah, where I finished off my International Hockey League career, or pro career. And we came back to Vegas in 2000, and I've been here ever since. And worked in hockey a little bit off and on. Obviously, it wasn't as big, but the Brooks family had bought the rink up on Las Vegas, the Flamingo in 215, and then all heck broke loose when the VGK came to town. And so I guess I missed something in the middle of that. After I finished playing hockey, I knew I had to do something else. So our old pal Rod Buskus, who had his own airplane at the time, he was flying the Grand Canyon. And so I was like, talked to Busky, he was a real good friend. And I said, I think I might like to look into that, because my dad had a small charter airline business in northern British Columbia. So we were up in the air all the time. So I finished my ratings here in Vegas. I flew the Grand Canyon for 4 years, which was just the craziest, most fun flying you'll ever do. Just, if you haven't gone out to the Grand Canyon, get out there. It's 150 miles or 45-minute plane ride from Vegas. It's incredible. I got my flight instructor rating, so I flight instructed, and I flew with a local family who had properties in Monterey and Southern California, and so that's where I got all my time. Got on with Horizon Air, which is affiliate of Alaska Airlines. Flew with them for 7 years, up in the Pacific Northwest in California, Mexico, and some Nevada, Washington, Oregon. And then got on with Richard Branson's Virgin America. And that was crazy, crazy. So much fun flying there. And then Alaska bought out Virgin. So I made a full circle back to the Alaska Air Group. And now I work for Alaska Airlines.
And you fly the big jets.
Yeah. So I flew turboprops coming up, flew Cessnas, twin engine airplanes, and then I flew turboprops, Dash 8s for Horizon, the 200 and the Q400. And then I got hired at Virgin America, that was Airbus 319s, 320s, 321s. And it was just a crazy experience that was. And then Alaska bought us, and it's been a great experience in Alaska. And now I fly 737, all the series of the 737 that we have at Alaska. So I don't know how that equates to hockey and being able to sit on a desk and talk about hockey, but there's been quite an experience. And through it all, the last 24 years, and we're heading into 25, we've been in Vegas doing it. And we were here, basically came to town in 93. So, and then we always had a place, and then we were back and forth for a few years in the late 90s, but full-time back in Vegas since 2000. And it's just been a hoot. And
you're just a pure hockey dude, though. You're just a pure hockey dude.
Well, you know what? Most Canadians are. And
no, not like you. No,
yeah,
not
but
like
you know what?
No.
What's been nice is it's since the Golden Knights have come to town, it's really given breathed a lot of life back into a bunch of us that were living here, our kids were playing soccer, we were coaching soccer. I mean, I remember coaching with my buddy Enrique Navarez. Our kids played club soccer, and we try and run it. I try and run it like a hockey team because the sports are so similar. Like try and run it, try and the practices, the training that we experienced, and just then when the Golden Knights came to town, it was such a shot in the arm for our city, and obviously they started when we'd had the worst tragedy in our city's history and in the United States. And as everyone kind of rose back up from that tragedy, the town and the state is really, really just, the Golden Knights are the fiber and our fabric, I guess, of our state now and our city. And so, yeah, so it's been good for me because I grew up, I didn't know anything other than hockey. And so now I get a chance to sit and BS with you and be on the ice all the time. And the Golden Knights have been so successful. It's just been a thrill. So,
and
so
you've been
many
a
of our
season seat
friends-
holder from day one?
Yeah. So we were part of, I guess we were part when Bill Foley came to town, he did Vegas Once hockey. So we went out, we did Buskey, Rod Buskis, Randy Morton was a big driver behind it. Randy Burridge, Gordy Mark, Michelle and I, my wife and I, my wife and we were just day one. We were like, okay, we're going to buy season tickets, and we're going to help push it whatever way we can. And it caught on like wildfire, and it's still to this day just amazing around town. The license plates, the stickers, the flags, the people wearing the shirts and the jackets. So it's really,
and people should know you came from the rink tonight. You were helping out a couple of teams as a guest assistant coach. You give lessons to kids, and a lot of times it's out of the goodness of your heart, which is amazingly generous of you. And I've watched you work with kids, and it's awesome. But the passion that you have for the game at the professional level, like how many games a week do you think you watch?
It all depends. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm at the level of some of the people that I've been in the game with. Like, I'm not going to probably see as many games as George McPhee or Kelly McCrimmon is. Or
but your job's a pilot, and
Yeah.
George runs an NHL team.
Yeah, but Bob Strum who brought me to town, probably still beats me. But I would say, on average, I try and catch parts, if not all. Like I'll watch the Golden Knights every night, start to finish, because that's our team, right? And when now that I've been fortunate enough to get an opportunity to sit beside you and talk about them, from day one we've watched top to bottom on them. But I'll watch the start of the East Coast games if I'm home, and then I always love it when LA or Anaheim or San Jose starts at 7:30 or Vancouver.
I'm so with you on that.
I love it. The 7:00 Eastern start, and then you can watch the start of them, and then you can watch the 4:30 game. Well, I guess it starts out here at 4 and 4:30. But when we drop the puck here with Vegas, usually at 7, and then LA or one of the other West Coast teams will drop it at 7:30. It's so great because you can watch all the Golden Knights, and then you can always catch a period of the other team. So I'll try and catch parts of 2 games on a normal night. That's not 7 nights a week, but if I can catch parts of 3 or 4, I will, just so you can just keep an eye on what's going on around the league and what's going around and around the Golden Knights in their conference and their division.
Helps out with your podcast, enjoying orange slices with your buddy Ian Lord Bag.
Yeah.
I should tell you, I don't know whether I've ever expressed this or not and told you how the whole thing came about, but you mentioned earlier coming on the set and doing an intermission talking about the Las Vegas Thunder night over at the Leafs Family Forum, the Henderson Silver Knights. So we did that night, and it just happened that there was an open segment, and I was going to do some highlights. I was going to do some game topics, and you were sitting there, and the producer said, "Why doesn't Sharples just stay and do it?" So we did. We just did it on a whim, total whim, and you blew everybody's socks off. The producer, the executive producer, VGK management, Dave and Shane in the booth, and we're like, wow. Like, we knew you could talk hockey, but you could talk to TV and stuff. And from right then, we said, Sharples got to be on the broadcast more. Right
Well,
then.
that's
And it
very
was
good.
it was actually a fluke, Sharples. We were buddies, we were friends,
Yeah.
but I had no real plan for you to be part of the broadcast. We were going to promote the Las Vegas Thunder night, and that was going to be it. But then you just naturally did what you did.
Well, I think one of the things that is, I think if you talk to a lot of people in the community, and I get it, I played, and it was my life. I didn't know anything else. But if you talk to a lot of people in our community, they can talk the passion about the Golden Knights and what it means to our community. And I think that's one of the things that rings with me is all the great people in our community, and we got a lot of great people. And I've said it before, we're a service industry community, and those people, there's something special about them. You just have to go down to T-Mobile to see it. And I know the team's been way beyond competitive. They've been terrific. So there's lots to cheer for. But the people I meet in the community, that I never had any idea that watched the Golden Knights. And that's even more exciting for me because this has been a
Because
part
now
of.
they see you and they
Well,
tell you.
it's not that they see me, but yeah, they see me on TV and they're going, well, what are you doing on TV? But I think the passion, they share the passion. It's our team, right? And I grew up, don't get me wrong, grew up a Vancouver Canucks fan, obviously watched Hockey Night in Canada. You hear about that. It's very similar to Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football for those that maybe are like, what's Hockey Night in Canada? Comparable. And so we'd watch Toronto or Montreal, and then Vancouver was my team because I grew up in BC and I got drafted by Detroit. So I'm going to be indebted to the Ilitch family forever because of how I was treated. They just treated us so well in Detroit. And then, not everybody's journey's the same. So mine is what it's been. And now, we got to with the Golden Knights coming to town, I've got to relive a dream and share experiences with other families, and really one of my biggest highlights of the Golden Knights coming to town is the amount of time I get to spend with the youth of our community, working with them, whether it's an hour a week or an hour every other week or a month or whatever it is, just getting out there and trying to help them, because the game will give you a lot, but it'll take a lot from you too. And just being able to share experiences and little nuances with the kids of our community, that's worth all of it right there.
What I appreciate is there's not a question I can't ask you. And same goes Elliot and Nadi, the guys that put in the homework. Like you are on it, and that's really comforting for me when we're on the air. Before we let you go, you've been on the set now in my world. Could I pull off a cabin announcement in your world? Like give me some advice if I was going to do like this is your pilot speaking.
Now, there's one thing I've always said about you. If you give you a microphone, you're in your element. So I have no problem. And I'm going to give you a little advice about how I do cabin announcements. First of all, I try and keep it very short and sweet, but I just try and treat the people like their family, because they are wherever we go. And I just be honest with them. And, it's going to be bumpy. People don't like to hear that, but, instead of using a word like thunderstorm, I might use a word like thunder showers in the forecast. Instead of windy, I might use breezy. But if we are sitting at the gate or something's going on, I try and just be as honest as I can with them. And I think you would be a great pilot. And I know your announcements would probably be the top of the industry. I don't have the same gift as you that way, but I also, but when it comes to talking hockey, I mean, aviation and hockey, I can talk about them both all day long. But I think just trying to have some fun when we're on the set together, and I'm just trying to learn, like and just try and share little things with folks that tune in after they've been working all day, or they've been, the kids have been at school, or whatever's happened, just something that people can relate to, that relates, because the Golden Knights are just something so relatable to our community. And I think I mean, people say, oh, that's the secret sauce, but it really is. The Golden Knights have just really taken our city by storm, and I think our city's a better place for it. And so it's my job as a hockey ambassador, is kind of just like yours, is to share as much positive feedback as we can, and someone can learn something along the way, great. But if they are enjoying what they are seeing or listening to, that's what it's all about.
When's your next game with us?
29th, I'm supposed to be on with you.
Okay.
That's what Coach Nate told me. So yeah, so we'll see. November 29th is when I'm supposed to be on. So we'll look forward to that night, Black Friday, and one of my favorite teams to come and
Gold
watch.
Friday with the Vegas Golden Knights. Gold Friday.
Gold. And but here's the thing. My buddy Flats is coming in, Wade Flaherty, coach with Winnipeg. I always love the Winnipeg Vegas games. I think that should be built up as one of the top games of the year, and I hope it lives up to it, because Winnipeg's on fire, and they always, Vegas has knocked them out of the playoffs a couple times, so they always have a little burr under their saddle when they play the Knights, and should be a lot of fun.
Just got a text from Jen. Are you still talking to Sharples?
Yeah. Well,
He knows us.
we can take a 15-minute segment and make it 90 minutes, no problem.
We have. All right, there's Jeff Sharples. He'll be back on the broadcast on the 29th. Justin, he's a true beauty. I know you've worked with him a little bit, working around the rink with the Henderson Silver Knights. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so much better with him as part of our broadcast team, and he is a true hockey ambassador. Back to you, Justin.
Well, fantastic conversation, Daren, there with Jeff Sharples. And, they joke that they could talk for hours, and I feel like I could sit down and listen to them talk for hours as well. Just such a unique background for Jeff, who comes from the hockey world as a former NHLer with those deep roots in Vegas, appears on those Scripps Sports TV broadcasts that I'm sure you've seen him on from time to time. And, oh yeah, by the way, he also flies commercial airliners for a living. So yeah, that's no big deal, right? That's all fine. And Daren also pointed out that he's a fixture in the community as well, continually doing great work in the youth hockey space, and someone who just always finds a way to make a positive impact here in Vegas. Great to learn a bit more about Jeff, who I personally had the chance to work with for Silver Knights broadcasts. And when you talk about the most interesting man in the world and some of those fun commercials from over the years, I think Jeff might have a case with some of the things that we learned today about him. Daren touched on it a bit, but Jeff, of course, has his own podcast named Enjoying Orange Slices with his buddy Ian Bagg, if you're looking for more of him. And don't worry, I know that this show is already your favorite podcast. We're all good. I trust you all out there, but I will allow you to have a close second with Jeff and Ian. So check out that if you're looking for more from Jeff Sharples. Now, from getting to know one of the many faces on camera with the VGK to learning a bit more about one of the guys on the ice, after the break, we'll learn a bit more about Golden Knights forward Cal Burke. Golden Knights fans can score big on game days at Nellie's Southern Kitchen at MGM Grand. Wear your VGK gear for a home or a road game and get 10% off your bill. Golden Knights goals taste even better with Nellie's mouth-watering Southern Delights. So grab your gear and catch the game at Nellie's Southern Kitchen. The Vegas Golden Knights Game Changer program, presented by America First Credit Union, recognizes and rewards teachers in Clark County that are going above and beyond in their classrooms. Outstanding teachers nominated will have the chance to receive a $1,000 grant to be used toward improving their classroom. Nominate a teacher today at vegasgoldenknights.com. Well, Vegas has been hit by the injury bug a bit during this current road swing, and while you never want to see guys miss time, it does offer an opportunity for others within the organization to step up and fill some of those roles. Cal Burke, who has spent the season with the Henderson Silver Knights, was recently called up to Vegas and played in the first two games of this road trip on the fourth line alongside Tanner Pearson and Cole Schwint. Now, before Thursday's game in Ottawa, Dan Duva sat down with Cal to learn a bit more about the newest Vegas forward.
Well, let me ask you about just the last few days. When did you find out you were getting the call up?
I think I just had a normal practice day down in Henderson, and Henderson coach Ryan Craig just called me when I was sitting at home with my family and said, hey, you're going up. They're going on a Canadian road trip. Just pack up and go. So I was obviously really excited to get the call, and, I was excited to get with the team.
Yeah. So how much stuff could you get into a suitcase after? You didn't get much notice.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. I mean, I had an afternoon, so, it was just packing quick, trying to get my family situated and yeah, get out here.
Yeah. What was their reaction?
Oh, they were pumped. I mean, my wife and family, like, they're as invested in this as I am. So, when I get called up, they're just as happy as I am, and they're excited watching the games and everything.
Yeah. Does it make it, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, excitement, obviously, you've said, is there any apprehension? It's the first time coming up to the NHL with this organization, though you have played a few games in the NHL before. When you're joined by, say, Mason Morelli, you guys are kind of coming up from Henderson together. Does that allay any of that anxiety?
Yeah, it's nice to have a teammate and a friend around. That's makes things a little bit easier. I think it's mainly excitement. Like I said before, I'm just excited to, and try and prove what I can do to the team, prove myself to my teammates and the coaches, and yeah.
So I mentioned, of course, this is your first year in the organization. It's your third NHL organization, Colorado and Carolina. But last year, if you could explain this to our listeners, I'd appreciate it. So you end up staying with the Colorado Eagles, even though you had changed NHL teams. What was the story there?
Yeah, I was in a very unique situation last year. After training camp, I was out in practice with the Colorado Eagles, and I get called off practice. And I was like, oh, my God, like, I got traded. Like, there's only one reason you get called off practice. And they're like, yeah, so we traded you to Carolina. And I was like, oh, man, all right. And they're like, but they don't have an AHL team, so we worked it out. They just reassigned you to the Eagles, so you can just go back on practice now. So I was like, all right. So I went back out, and, Carolina owned my rights for that year. But, yeah, because they didn't have an AHL team, they basically loaned me to the Eagles. So I got to stay, and it was actually, like, a great situation for me because I didn't have to move. I got an opportunity to play with them and meet them. And it was weird. I was with the Eagles in Colorado, but I also was with the Carolina Hurricanes.
And if I'm not mistaken, you played one game for Carolina. Was it against the Avalanche? Was it in Denver?
Yeah, it just happened to work out where, like, they got injured. They had some injuries right before they were playing the Avalanche. So they called me up, and I literally just drove up from my house to the hotel and played, and then that was that. So it was weird. I was playing for Carolina against the Avalanche, whose minor league team I've played for before.
That's totally bizarre. I guess you could laugh about it now. Was it awkward at the time for you or your teammates?
I don't think it was awkward. It was nice because I'd already been there with the Eagles for a couple of years, and they were all they're all fans of me and supporting me. So they're all just happy that I'm getting some NHL opportunity. And then the guys with the Avalanche and stuff, they're all great to me too. I think everyone was just happy to see me playing in the NHL, I think. So it was a weird experience, but it was fun. In some ways it was good because I was, I already knew Ball Arena and all that. I knew the place really well. So in some ways it was easier.
And you had played 2 games as a member of the Avalanche. Both of them were at home. So until last night, your only any NHL games were in that arena.
That's right.
and so take us back to last night. And obviously the end result was not ideal in the Knights losing against the Maple Leafs. But what was it like preparing for the game with, some of the guys you might have played with in the preseason, but what was it like for you?
Yeah, it was nice. I think getting traded to Carolina was awkward last year because I didn't really know anyone or anything. So when I got called up, it was all new. But this year getting to play some preseason games and spend training camp with them, I think it just made it a lot more comfortable for me. When I got called up, I felt, I wasn't as, I wasn't as uncomfortable being around those guys. And I think I was just trying to, have fun and just play my game. I just wanted to, look like Cal Burke out there and, hopefully be noticeable.
For the fans who were just getting to know you, how would you describe your game? When you're at your best, this is what I want people to see and how I play.
Yeah, I think when I'm at my best, like fans and everyone's just going to notice a lot of speed, kind of tenacity and speed on my edge work and stuff, cutting back on guys and, trying to be that F1 on the forecheck, disrupting the play and getting sticks on pucks. And I think just going to kind of see me buzzing around all over the ice.
Well, always good to have another guy who knows how to have fun and is a hard worker in the mix for Vegas, and I think Cal certainly checks both of those boxes, as you can tell there with his interview with Dan. And we'll see if he and the VGK can stack some wins starting tomorrow with a battle against the Montreal Canadiens. That is a 4 p.m. Pacific time puck drop Saturday night, Golden Knights at Canadiens. That full interview with Cal, as well as all VGK radio interviews, can be found at soundcloud.com/Vegas Golden Knights. And you can also follow at VGK Radio Network on X and at VGK Radio on Instagram for more content from our Golden Knights radio broadcasts. That'll just about wrap up today's show. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to VGK Today. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform, as we'll be back each week throughout the regular season with new episodes. Stay tuned next week as Ashley Weiss joins the show. Justin Russo signing off for VGK Today.